This is Mommying While Muslim, recorded live and unedited. Watch as Zeba and Uzma record their podcast, see their reactions, and find out for yourself what all the buzz is about.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mommying While Muslim podcast. This is Uzma Jaffrey.
This is Zeba Hassan. Uzma, I love when you wear color.
Yes, I know. I did it for you.
And it's like paisley. And what is the story with that today?
I realized because this is a wellness month that I have been, my sister pointed it out. She said, I've been here for 9 months and I've literally seen you wear the same 4 shirts and the same 2 hijabs. She's not wrong. It's not wrong. And for me, I feel better when I take the time to pick a nice hijab and iron it and, not style it differently because I've had the same style for 20 plus years, but, just matching. It's like doing your hair, and it's my little step towards, making myself feel emotionally fit and making you happy wearing the color, because making Zeba happy is one of the things I live for.
Thank you. But how was your week this week? Because I always feel like we have to touch base, check on our weeks. Mm-hmm. It's our emotional. You and I chit chat like every day. If I don't hear from you, I'm always like, let me go make sure Uzma's okay. Yes. Or same vice versa. So how was your week this week? I want to do a mental health check. And how is everything going? Because I know you have some, we're doing a parent weekend coming up. So what's going on? Are you prepped for that?
I guess so, but the problem is I have this influx of parents and guests coming in. However, I walked by my pantry. I have a big issue because I walked through and, I looked down at the floor, which is not something I always do, only if it's sticky because the kids spilled something on it, right? But I see this big hole in the wall that definitely was not there in the morning. And the paint was sort of peeling. I took the paint off and it's wet, soaking wet. And it's yellow. By the end of the afternoon, it's brown. So I called the contractor. I was like, there is a water leak in my wall. However, there's no water in this wall. There's no plumbing. I remember because I built this house. There's no pipes in here. And he's like, of course, it's not his fault, nothing ever. So he sends his guy and he's like, oh, yeah, nothing's going to happen. Well, the guy comes and he opens it up, and 90 degrees to where this wall is peeling and wet is the connection to my fridge, when they put in, they severed part of the tubing. And so for a year and a half, Zeba,
it's been dripping.
It's been dripping into the baseboards and has soaked it through. So we have drywall coming down a week before I have all these house guests coming. I was like, you have got to fix this before then. I will take no excuses like you did, wagging me along for 3 years building this place. But it just goes to show that something can be underneath what looks really perfect for a very, very long time. And if we're not regularly doing checkups and making sure that everything is fine, this is how problems arise, right? We're talking about all kinds of fitness, holistic wellness this month. And it was just a really good, tangible reminder of don't judge a book by its cover, because as pretty as it looks sometimes, it may not be inside. So it's really important for us to do that work. So that's what I learned this week.
I love that. You're peel back the surface and you see some brown water stains. It doesn't matter.
Black mold.
I love that. You're there's some mold behind my walls, and I love that we're doing that. And that goes to show you, you always have to kind of check in. I mean, we can apply this metaphor to everything. Make sure you go get your checkups. March is also, isn't it heart health month for women as well, in addition for us to be preparing for Ramadan. So make sure, women, ladies, let's go get all that stuff checked out. Let's make sure we're taking care of our. Get your well, if we're of an age, they won't even let me get my mammogram yet, but that's a whole nother podcast. We'll talk about that later. But we are continuing our March series. We're
Wait a minute, I'm going to make you stop and backtrack and tell us about your week.
I'm not doing, and me with my week, I am just working like a crazy fiend, girl. That's all I've been doing, and being a mom, and I'm going straight from basketball. But okay, I lied. We are taking a mental health weekend. We are going to Miami for literally 2 days
Wow.
because I have 2 out of 4 kids that directly they have sun issues, meaning if they don't have sun exposure, they have SAD. I'm not going to
Oh,
explain
okay.
which kid is what,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we they need heavy doses of sun, and if they don't get it, it becomes an issue. So we have a 2 week break between basketball season and baseball season, and we are taking full advantage of it. So we're
I love
going
that.
and getting a full dose of sun. So I am trying to prep for all of my workshop. I have a couple of workshops next week, so I'm trying to do all that work. I'm literally going to be in the office till 6:30 today, try
Oh,
to get
wow.
all that stuff done so that I can go and spend 72 hours in Miami with my kiddos, literally going to read on the beach, and that's all I'm going to do, and soak up the sun with my
That
family.
sounds
So,
amazing.
and then get all my stuff done. But no, I'm just prepping for that. So that's what I'm doing, and I think we're going to be choosing schools in the next couple weeks, and then we start baseball season. And you know how crazy my
Yep.
baseball. I'm at the baseball field 7 days a week. I complain about it, but like you said in another episode that I think we recorded multiple today, so I don't even know what episode we're on right now. But I love every second of it. I love being a sports mom, and I am going to enjoy it. But I know we are continuing our March series. We're prepping for Ramadan. I can't even believe that it's around the corner. To that end, we have invited some fabulous, fabulous women on this podcast this month, and we're starting with Abdiya Iman of Modest Fitness. Modest Fitness responded to the pandemic and the lockdown, and she recruited Muslimah coaches, trainers, and nutritionists from literally across the globe to host online classes and workshops over Zoom to create safe spaces for women who may not be able to access women-only gyms. Amazing. We are so excited to hear how we can use their concise services to crash prep for Ramadan and some new projects we are over the moon for already. Let's buckle up, moms and other women. We are welcoming Abdiya here to Momming While Muslim. Abdiya, thank you so, so much for joining us here today.
Assalamu
Wa
alaikum.
alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be on this podcast with you girls today.
Yeah. So we usually like to kick off the podcast by asking about your mom story. And for those who don't have children, we suggest that you tell us about your mom, whatever you're comfortable sharing, and her momming philosophy.
Wow, that is definitely a big question.
Yes.
um, so, yeah, my mum's a wonderful woman. She's a mother of 6, and I'm the
Mashallah.
youngest.
Wow, you're the
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. And she was actually Muslim for 13 years when she had me. So you can imagine the difference in her philosophy from when she was first a mum, 5 years before she became Muslim, with my sister. She had her when she was 23 years old, and she was living in Ireland and not Muslim, so just living life. And then she became Muslim and had 5 more children. So you can really get an understanding of how her philosophy would have changed throughout those years. And also from when she became Muslim and the changes that happened in her life, kind of from one day to the next, literally hours, and her life was like, I'd say turned upside down, but maybe turned, upwards, and
Topsy-turvy.
actually for the better. But I think it also came with a lot of stress and a lot of difficulties, sort of adapting to new lifestyle. Because of course, that Islam is a lifestyle, right? It's not just a religion; it's a way of life. So I think even her mothering philosophies from when she became Muslim to when she had me when she was 41, probably a bit more chilled out but alhamdulillah, I'm very, very grateful that my parents obviously found Islam and and Allah guided them. So my mum's philosophies, her name's Sakina, so hopefully
Oh,
that tells you a little bit about her character. She's
yes.
very, very relaxed, but I think that she's sort of embodied it over the years. So with me, she was very Sakina. I got away with a lot. And it was mostly
That is
it was
true. That
mostly
is
my
true.
siblings that were like, "Mom, Abdiya's writing on the wall again," or
Yeah.
like, "Mom, like, how are you letting Abdiya have a phone when she's just 11?" Like 11 was young back then to have a phone, but I think
I
also
think it's just the youngest of us six, the youngest child. You guys get away with
I know
You have a
everything.
different parent, basically. You like because
totally.
Literally
we're so
a different
scared
parent.
parenting initially, and I think regardless, I mean, obviously your mom had the big confounder of she, came to Islam as an adult, and so that's a big thing. But I would argue that regardless of whether you were born into it or you came into it later, when we start out, we're so scared and we're so passionate and so zealous about parenting. And we're going to raise a kid who's like trilingual and definitely can read Arabic by the time they're 3, and they'll memorize the Quran by the time they're 5. We have all these pressures on ourselves that we project to our children. By the end, we're like, did you eat? What? Food? Um, okay, fine.
Mine had
Sleep?
muffins for dinner last night. I was like, I made muffins in the morning. I was like, "Oh, did you have dinner?" They're like, "Oh, we had the muffins." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
One of my
I put
kids
eggs in there. We're good."
I hadn't seen one of my kids, and I was like, "What did you have for dinner?" And he's like, "Ramen," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." You know how I feel
Nice.
about ramen. It's like, okay, whatever. So
So,
I love that.
sorry, squirrel. We went off topic. Oh
Yeah,
my
No,
goodness.
it's
But
cool.
your mom sounds like an amazing person.
yeah.
And I actually got chills hearing her story because it's such an amazing journey to hear how she became Muslim, and it sounds like, you really benefited a little bit from her, her sakina, her patience and all of that good stuff. But, did she shape your holistic health journey, because you are such an amazing person in that realm right now in the Muslim health world.
Yeah, do you know what? It's really interesting because obviously being the youngest of 6, and there's an age gap of 18 years. So like my older
Oh,
siblings, a lot of them
wow.
were like, no, I mean like a range of 18 years. So like my
Oh,
elder sister's like 18 years older than me, not like a gap. Um, so a lot of my siblings were kind of like old enough to also help care for me, like as I was growing up, as well as
Yeah.
my other siblings that are closest in age. So my mum actually got really sick when I was 4. So much so that we had to stay with friends and, have a lot of support. And alhamdulillah wa shukrillah, we have a really supportive community where I'm from in the UK. And so also a lot of that responsibility went on my older sisters to look after us, to, make dinner and get us to school and things like that. And one of my sisters actually studied Chinese medicine, and she became a shiatsu therapist. Um, and obviously, my mum's diet changed a lot. It became very sort of like easy to digest food because she had a certain type of, she had like immune, compromised immune system, and was always tired. Which is quite interesting because she never actually then had the energy to actually teach me how to cook when I was young. It was always like just cook something basic and get to bed kind of thing. Like, very, very clean food, not too many spices. McDonald's definitely didn't exist in our world. Like McDonald's was just like fast food, and anything like that was just not existing. Like it wasn't even an option. It was as if I would have asked my mum, can I have a cigarette? Can I have a McDonald's?
Oh,
That would have been
probably
where the
accurate.
level, yeah, like that is the level of like no go was fast food.
Wow.
And so I think that really sort of kickstarted my interest in thinking like, wow, this lifestyle that my mum's now, not that we were like eating bad before or anything, but like my mum really had to go clean and things like that. And see how she started getting better when the doctors said there was no help, like they literally couldn't help her. But how, with Chinese medicine, with Islamic medicine, and with clean diet and good nutrition, rest, and soft exercises like yoga really benefited her, and it changed her life, which then it changed our lives again, because it was such a knock in our upbringing. So much so that I feel like a lot of trauma comes from those kind of experiences. So I think like, growing up, like I always loved PE at school, and, having the incredible influences of like my sisters who were really into Chinese medicine. And then another of my sisters also studied like cranial sacral therapy, and now she's a Chinese herbalist. So I think just having a lot of people around me that were inspiring, that were sort of, leading the way in terms of holistic health and showing me alternatives to Western medicine, or it's not just about like, let's go for a run, let's like work out in the gym. It's like, let's look at ourselves as a whole. Let's move our bodies because that's our responsibility. We have to look after it. We have to keep moving. We've got to keep building our muscle and being strong. We also have to look at what we eat and what we put inside our bodies. We also have to, my eldest sister, Malika, may Allah bless her, she always calls me up and she's like, right, I'm doing an audit. How are you feeling? How's your heart? How are you feeling in your body? She is just she is compassion embodied. She is just incredible. So I really am so thankful to my oldest, all my siblings really, that are just always looking out for me. And I think they've inspired me a lot, actually. That was before I got into the modest fitness, and then started realizing that there was women all over the world that are like doing incredible things, and I was just like, this is so exciting.
Isn't it so amazing when you open yourself up and you're like, oh, look at all these great women out here. It's just such a
Yeah.
great feeling. I love that.
It's very validating, although I'm really having a lot of FOMO because I don't have any elder siblings and I really want like your older sister, like somebody to remind you. I have Zeba, but she's more of a peer and she's always checking like, what are you doing? How much are you sleeping? So she's
But
my
I'm gonna
mom.
I'm gonna use the word audit. I love that.
The
I
audit is
literally wrote
good.
it
Yeah.
down. I like that audit. I'm like, this is an audit. This is a mental health check. I love that word.
So you mentioned modest fitness and how you discovered all these women, but tell us about, how it came together, how you came to find all these women, and what you learned from the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was July 2020, and obviously, like we'd had like lockdown here in Spain, because I've been living in Spain now for 8 years. Was 6 weeks we couldn't even leave the house. So like, forget like going for a walk, forget going for a run. Everyone was like, why don't I have a dog? Because at least I could take them for. You could take your dog for a walk, but you couldn't take your children for a walk. I mean,
Wow.
like let's just listen to that for a moment, because
Yeah.
What
that
if our
was
kids
heavy.
went on all fours? Could that work? Like, because I could make one of
Well, I
mine
didn't
go
have
on
one
all
to
fours.
test it, but
I
maybe
have
if I
the
did, I would have
Chewbacca
tried.
Chewbacca like sleep set. I could have put one in.
Exactly. He loves his little Chewbacca outfit. I would have been like, get on all fours, let's go.
I know. I wish
Go
I'd have
ahead.
made like good relationships with the neighbors before lockdown, so I could actually be like, "Can
Yeah.
I take your dog for a walk?" So
Exactly.
yeah, July 2020, and I was actually working in projects to do with sort of modest fashion. I've been in the modest sort of fashion area or sphere for a while, for a few years now, doing like collaborations with brands and things like that. Um, and I started sort of seeing more activewear brands coming up. And I was like, this is so interesting. Like, that actually, now it's not just like, oh, you have to wear your husband's joggers and your baggy top. You can actually go out feeling confident, feeling beautiful. I was like, wow, like I need to get into this. Like, this is so cool. And then just by looking on Instagram, seeing the different brands, then it sort of pushed me to see Muslimah, personal trainers and instructors. And I was like, this is mad. Like, this is amazing. Like, they look absolutely incredible. They are on Instagram doing content, working out, not like shy or, like, oh, women, can't, I was just like, this is so cool. So I started contacting them and I said, like, with my business partner, like, what can we do as an event to sort of get these people together, to get the activewear brands, to get the instructors together. And initially it was just going to be like classes online, and then activewear brands could like present their collections. And then it just grew and grew. More people wanted to get involved. We set a date for December 2020, the 15th of December, and we set, a few hours each day. We were going to have classes online, and people could pay for the week. I think it was like $15 or something like that, if I remember correctly. And people could come along to any of the classes, so it could be unlimited access. And so I think we had about 30 classes over 5 days to begin with. And then we got more people messaging us, people in the health sphere, like mental health and, intermittent fasting and like weight loss and all these different areas, hormonal health, feminine health. We were like, oh my gosh. So we started doing sort of seminars and workshops with different people chatting to one another. We had Fit Muslimah, we had Aya Khalaf, we had I can't remember now everyone who was getting involved, but they were like doing workshops together, and it was just so cool. We had some of the best swimwear brands and activewear brands and all these big names on Instagram that are talking about health, and it was just amazing. It was in a great atmosphere, and in the end we had like 55 hours over 5 days.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like, I had little sleep. Some of the instructors were even doing the classes while I was asleep. And it was,
I love
people
that.
joining from California to New Zealand and everywhere in between. It was so cool. And so that finished, and we were kind of left thinking, what next? And that's where Modest Fitness started. Well, Modest Fitness Week became Modest Fitness, and things started to evolve. I'm definitely an entrepreneur that's always evolving. We're always doing something different. Every month is like something slightly different. So that's where we began.
I love it. And I think it's really important for the audience to hear like some of the projects that you have coming up, some of the ones that you have found really successful, and then the ones, as you said, you're evolving, the ones that you've evolved into creating now.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Modest Fitness Week happened, we started fitness challenges. And for the first year, like, we were running them sort of back to back, month after month, these monthly challenges, and it was amazing to see how people grew, how people started their health and fitness journey. It was a combination of workouts, short daily workouts, podcasts. We love, like, these, we call them the golden nuggets. As well as like accountability as well, that community, and it really, really worked really nicely. And then we moved into Ramadan 2021, and literally 2 weeks before Ramadan, we were thinking, okay, should we run another challenge called the Me to Her challenge? And I was thinking, but because I had never done a Ramadan product before, a Ramadan program before, like, I didn't even think like, oh, that's a thing. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, I really feel like we need to do something different for Ramadan, because you're fasting, you haven't really got the energy to work out, you're not eating, so like, you've got to figure out, like, your stomach is shrinking, what you're going to put inside that's actually going to give you the nutrition and all the nutrients for the next day, and also hydrate you at the same time. I'd always found it really difficult to fast, actually. In the last few years, there's been years that I haven't been able to fast due to, I had a lot of like cystitis issues, like UTI issues, and I'm sure like a lot of the mums on the podcast can relate to that as well, because I think a lot of women suffer with them but potentially don't know how, like, don't know, or like they don't know how to treat them, or sort of just look after ourselves, really. And so last year, after not being able to fast for 2 years running, I was just like, look, I'm going to change my habits this Ramadan. I'm going to really, really trust Allah that it's going to help me. And we came out with a Ramadan program that included like the nutrition aspect. So, iftar ideas, suhoor ideas, as well as fasting for any workouts before iftar. And obviously we meet once a week. Met once a week on Zoom for more of like a spiritual gathering, and getting in touch with. So it was like a mind, body, and soul sort of program, and it was so successful. The Ramadan program was really successful. We had so many people joining, and just personally, it was so successful because I managed to fast the whole month, and actually it got really much better. It almost like healed me, like having that fasting is such a healing, like, Allah is so generous that He's given us this month. And so we're going to do it again this year. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of the impact that it had on the women who attended the program and did the workouts, stuck to like the nutritional advice and came to the meetings, the sense of community that it brought had such an impact that actually 2 of the girls that they actually met at the Ramadan program, online, they went on holiday together to Istanbul.
Oh, I love that.
And I think for reverts especially, lots of reverts joined us. Some people, it was their first Ramadan, and so can you imagine like that experience for them? They were so terrified.
Connection.
Yeah, they were so worried, and then they realized that actually I can fast, like I can do it, So it was really, really cool. There was like 150 of us, and it was really powerful. So even though we haven't been running so many fitness challenges recently, because we've been working on other projects, which I'll get to, we've decided to do the Ramadan program again this year, just because we know how of much of an impact it had on the people, on the participants. So we'll be doing fasting friendly workouts. So we've got the incredible instructors doing sort of like yoga, soft Pilates, some like soft dance, because dance is very amazing for the feminine, as well as sort of some soft weight training as well, because we do want to make sure, because I mean, muscle can just like
You
drip
don't
off
lose
you in
muscle
Ramadan.
tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No, I love all of that. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but I
no,
would love to have this be in our Momming While Muslim group, because I think that this would be so great, and having like a tangible action plan that people can follow. That the mind body soul thing is 100% right up my alley, and I love everything about it. And part of your offerings are going to be some of these fitness retreats, which I'm going to let you talk about a little bit later. I'm so going to have FOMO because I think Uzma is going to be going to one of yours, and I'm so jealous. But the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and this is something you mentioned, yoga a little bit. I am a regular yoga practitioner. I literally do it every single day. I
amazing.
actually even consider prayer as a version of yoga on some level. And you and I both know that it can be done together. Like, there's nothing that we can't do this. But I've had a lot of people give me some pushback on doing yoga, like they consider it like a religious thing, when really it's just a mind-body connection, and it really isn't something that is counteractive, counterintuitive to Islam, but it can help us, mentally, emotionally, with spiritual wellness. So, how do you talk to those people that are very anti-yoga within the realm of Islam?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think like it's definitely something that's come up for modest fitness as well. I think yoga is obviously, it does have religious background, like it is a Buddhist like practice, and a lot of people that are very into yoga and into Buddhism, like they would say actually that yoga doesn't exist without the Buddha.
That is part of it.
Yeah, and so it really depends who's teaching you, right? And who's sort of like giving you because yoga, for example, one of the girl that we have for the UK retreat in August, she is very much like on her deen, mashallah, and she's just finished her yoga teacher's training. And she actually incorporates Islam into the practice. So she sets the
Yeah, that's
intention
how
at the
I do
beginning
it.
of the at the beginning of the practice, and you takes from yoga what she feels can be for Islam, for our deen, and leaves the things that don't concern us. And I think, like you're right,
Yes.
the yoga, the movements. Some you might say are similar to the prayer, like you mentioned, and I think moving our body in that way. Sometimes you could always almost say like it's kind of like going back to how we probably would have moved more, in the past, rather than just being sat on our chairs all day.
Hmm.
And I think yoga is just amazing for strength, for mobility. And I think nowadays yoga is being practiced all over the world in all different with people, amongst people of all different religions, all different faiths and backgrounds. So yoga is something that we've always incorporated at Modest Fitness, and the great thing about Modest Fitness is that all of our instructors are Muslim, so you can trust that they have taken, like I mentioned, what they like from yoga, and they can leave what they don't. So yeah, mashallah. And you could say, everything from that sort of region of the world, like the Ayurvedic medicine is
Yeah.
amazing and has a lot of similarities to Islamic medicine. So I
Yes.
think you have to just go in with, go into something with an open mind, and trust that person is going to, make sure that they put the right intention, and it's not about now following a new religion for your hour that you're doing yoga. Like, use this as an opportunity to look after your body, the body that Allah is, really, like, we're responsible for looking after.
I think that that's so important because we always are recommended to take the good from everybody, like learn from everyone. Just because you're incorporating yoga into your fitness practice, that doesn't mean you're performing a religious ritual. It's what you're setting your intention, like you mentioned, is. And at our meet and greet in Houston, we had a Muslim yoga instructor. Oh my goodness. I wanted to weep when she was done because I felt like
Yes.
so loose and so empty, but in a good way, like light and free. And just the way that she was speaking, I was like, this is my sister who really wants to clear me of all of the toxins and wants to help me tap into my breath, into my God-given soul, and find it for myself. She wants to help me find it and tap into it. And so I just thought, yeah, it felt like a religious experience, but I felt okay because it was coming from another Muslim. So, it was fine. I've not had that feeling at other yoga classes that I've taken, but if you do, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If anything brings us closer to God, I'm not going to say always do it because I do promote following the sunnah, but I don't think it's breaking the sunnah or deviating from it in any way to practice yoga. So you mentioned that the global community has responded from California to New Zealand and everything in between. You had women responding. Why do you think that is?
We need company. We need community. I know this is like the buzzword, like, oh, building communities and things like that, but genuinely people were lonely. People were amazed, I think, as well, to see other Muslim instructors. I think there's so many people that are doing like one-on-one sessions, personal trainers, even like other Muslims as well, and doing sort of like group classes, group sessions. But I think there was something about doing it as a whole, meeting women from around the world, coming together with that intention of bettering our health, bettering our fitness level. And I think that's really what brought, like, called people towards this modest fitness. So I think, people were really, really, it was something new that people could get involved with, and it was an opportunity to meet people from around the world and feel inspired, because I'm sure you are both inspiring to your listeners. We need to feel inspired. Like when I saw the instructors, doing the Pilates and seeing how strong their abs were, I was like, oh my gosh, you're another Muslim woman, you're wearing hijab. We look similar, like we have a similar, lifestyle and background. And like, I can do that too. Like, what? I can go for a run outside with my hijab on and feel confident. Like, crazy. Like one of the ladies who was doing something, one of the sessions for Modest Fitness, it was actually mindfulness running. And I was like, subhanAllah, like we can be listening to a meditation while we're running. I ran longer and faster than I'd ever run before. It was completely life-changing. It was just amazing. I think having this opportunity to work on your health and fitness as a Muslim community with other Muslims, with that intention of bettering our Iman at the same time, was something really new, really fresh, and I think people really needed it. I didn't know it was going to be so successful, and I'm so glad it was, because I ended up meeting some of my best friends, some people that I now have been to actually met in person, and I'm going to be meeting more people this year. So yeah, it was like the best decision that I'd made in my business career until now, and I think that's why it was so successful.
I love that. Uzma got kicked out. She's going to be joining us back again, so she can't speak to this. But one of the things that I think you are, as a serial entrepreneur, like I love this. I'm similar to you as well. I'm constantly starting new businesses. I love it. It just engages me. But one of the things I feel like you're adding this year is these fitness retreats, which I love. Do you want to tell our audience a little bit about what's coming up? I am so jealous about the one coming up in Spain, and I want to, tell us about that, and tell us about what's coming up so that I can join you guys on the next one.
Yes, inshallah. So basically, obviously I met so many different people this year, with the online programs, and one of the girls that I met before Ramadan last year was Ellie Quinn. And she's a travel blogger. She became Muslim in August 2020. In the pandemic. Okay. Yeah, mashallah.
Oh,
and
goodness.
She is incredible. And anyway, so I got talking to her, and we met in Manchester in August, and then in November she came out to visit me in Spain, and we did a road trip of Andalusia to the south part of Spain. And we were just like craving connection. We were craving meeting other people. She was obviously, becoming Muslim in the pandemic, didn't really go to the mosque very often, things weren't available, there wasn't many classes going on, it was difficult to meet other Muslim women. Alhamdulillah, like we had online, but we were just like, we want to bring back that physical interaction with people, bring back that real like physical connection back to the Muslimah community, and we thought, what better way than to organize a holiday, right? And so we sat down and we thought about all the things that we love to do. So we love to do yoga, we love to go for hike. She loves hiking and walks in nature and beautiful scenery. We love doing dhikr together, and I think it's something that, you know, people don't often get the opportunity to do because, you know, you're not amongst people like, you know, potentially who are used to that, or maybe you've never done it before, like reverts, they were like, oh, what's that, you know? To meditate together, to eat delicious food, to feel good, to have that privacy, you know, we can be without your hijab, that you can just, you know, relax, especially after the last couple of years. We were like, people need to relax. I need to relax. We were just like, what, you know, we need to organize something.
Like, how do we do that? What does that look like?
Where do we go? Exactly. So we were like, okay, well, let's organize a retreat. And we were just like jumping up and down the idea. We're like, oh my God, this will be so exciting. Okay, let's find a place. We were driving around. We found this beautiful retreat center. We looked at quite a few, but we were like, no, this is the one. Like the energy was there. The barakah was there. The light was there. It was just absolutely stunning. The people that are running the retreat center were just amazing. They had incredible food. They had a private pool. We were just like, oh my gosh, like
goodness.
This is it.
That's like a Muslim girl's dream, right?
Yes.
Like to have a private pool, girl.
I know. So we were just like, okay, let's do it. So we booked for June because that was sort of like the availability. Because obviously all last year's retreats were cancelled, so they were being pushed forward for this year. And June, obviously, it's a beautiful month in Spain. Obviously, I live in Spain. She lives in Manchester, the UK. We were like, let's do it in Spain. Like people, you know, are ready to go on holiday, leave the country, and things are opening up. So we actually, we booked a retreat for Spain in June. And so we called people to a Facebook group, and we went live on the Facebook group. But we didn't actually really know how many people were actually watching us because we went live via Zoom. It was all a bit like new for us. So at the end of the live, people had to book on a Zoom call with us to actually meet us, to ask any questions. And we like to meet people, and, you know, so we have an opportunity to really connect before we actually meet them on a retreat. And within 72 hours, we'd had back-to-back meetings and we'd sold out of our retreat. We were like,
I was going to say, I could do it in June.
What is going on? I'll add you to the waiting list in case anyone drops out. I'll let you know. Yeah, it was absolutely mad. Like, we were like, what is going on? We just looked at each other in like shock, you know? So we were like, okay, well, what about all these other people that we still have to speak to, but that we've sold out, like all the spaces have gone. So we were like, okay, cool, let's book another one. So at least we can, like, you know, we'd have to let those people down because we still had like another like 25 meetings to do.
Yes.
And because I opened the calendar, you know, on Calendly, thinking that, you know, maybe give people options. Give people options, you know, and it was just like back to back. I was like in the train station on the phone, in the car on the phone, in the supermarket on the phone. I was just like, oh my gosh, like how am I meant to do anything? There's just calls after calls. SubhanAllah. But I think it was just like people just were so in need of it. And
we're looking for it.
Yeah, and obviously like it was such a nice opportunity. Like it was basically the holiday that I would want to go on, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then we were like, okay, let's book another one for July. And again, within the week, it's sold out. And so Ellie, she's recently married. She's got 3 stepsons now. And she obviously does lots of trips and things like that. She said, Abdiya, I'm here to support you. Like, girl, like, this is obviously really, really needed. But she said, but I can't obviously, you know, commit to more retreats. So we're like, let's do one in the UK. Okay, let's just do one in the UK together, and then I'll decide whether I want to continue doing retreats in Spain because I think it's something that I'm really, really going to enjoy. And so we booked one for the UK for August, 2 weeks, 27 spaces, like all gone. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so then obviously now we have dates for August, September, and October. Actually, we have 2 dates for September, but yeah. The second date might be launched very soon. If it has, then definitely come over or definitely send me a message because it's a special one. Like, I can't say the details, I think potentially, yeah,
Text me offline. Okay?
it's
For
wild.
goodness
It's
sakes.
wild, but like, boy, oh boy,
Zeba
is
and
it gonna.
wild, not in the same sentence, but text me offline. But I can
Is
tell
that a
No, it's
UK
going to be
it's
in
a
retreat? The
UK
Spain.
second one?
It's going to be in
Spain.
Spain. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I can just tell when you talk to somebody and when you ask them what their your face lights up when you talk about this, So you can just tell that this is actually what your life's work is supposed to be
Yeah.
because you're enjoying it, right? Like you're doing it, you're enjoying it, you're giving a service. The fact that it sold out within a week, you're filling a niche in the marketplace because it's a much needed thing. Obviously, you're carrying this mind, body, soul thing to the next level. It helps that it's in a beautiful location, right, with
That's
a private
it.
pool, and I mean, it's a blessing. Um,
Private
a
chef.
private chef. I mean, Uzma, I am just going to make sure you record everything and share it with our
We'll have you on the
listeners.
Zoom.
To the limits that I can.
Put
People
me
will
on
take their
Zoom,
jobs
on
off, right? In that
FaceTime,
beautiful pool.
something.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I
And I
am
think the great thing
jealous.
about being in Spain, especially the southern Spain, is all the Islamic history and culture at the same time.
Yes,
And
exactly.
like, don't underestimate how much learning about the history of Islam, the 800 years of history of Islam in this area, what it can do for your iman. Because
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible to walk into the Mosque of Cordoba, which has a
Yeah.
cathedral smack bang in the middle of it, which can bring you to tears, just the fact of seeing those things crashing together. They're
Colliding.
not even like gently coming together in harmony. No, there's like bam.
It's like colliding.
It's just like there, and you're just like, I can't take this. Even the king that paid, like, commissioned for the cathedral to be built there, when he saw it, he was just like horrified. He was like, what have you done to this beautiful building? But then you turn to your left or turn to your right, and there's the Shahada written, engraved in the pillars of the mosque. It's just, I mean, I was literally crying. And the woman who was showing me the mosque, she was a reaver of a year, historian, learned so much about the history of Al-Andalus that she, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, like, that's all I need to say. Like, she could not deny the signs, and she became Muslim. So pretty incredible. Even like within the pandemic, so many people, like, Allah has still been able to show people the way, show people the deen. So I think they're gonna all be really special, and everyone that knows me and knows me well, are just like, oh dear, like, you've found your calling,
I love that. You can just tell by your face, like you're just excited and you're lit up and you're impassioned, and that's how you know you're doing your life's work. It's like when Uzma talks about her old people, like she loves it, she gets excited, like it lights her fire, and I love everything about that. And
I'm so looking forward to this
I
retreat.
know,
in
and she
October,
deserves
like,
it.
that I signed up for.
Yeah, she deserves it, and we're so excited. We're excited to have you on here. We always end our we end our podcast with a quick. We do a rapid fire segment, and so we're going to be doing. Uzma and I are going to be throwing some questions at you. So be quick. I know it's very scary. Not
First thought in your head.
and you just have to. Uzma's going to start it.
This could
Uzma,
be
you have it
dangerous.
pulled up.
Yes.
Oh my.
Just tell me when to go, and I'll hit start.
Okay, ready, set, go. We're going to go back and forth. You want to go start first?
But
Do you want me to start?
oh, I'm supposed to ask questions?
Yeah, we do back and forth
I'm
now.
watching the clock.
We're going to go back and
Oh,
forth now.
back and
Okay, we always start off
Okay.
with what you're currently reading. Either a favorite book or what you're currently reading.
Oh, sorry, I thought that's you were gonna like ask the question.
No. That's right.
You're
I'm
like,
gonna reset that clock.
Wait, we're going to reset the
you thought you
clock.
were just
This is
giving me a
the full
heads up,
time.
like that's what we're gonna be asking
No.
you.
Well, now you got the question.
Now you got the
so
question. So that's the
What's your
first one.
favorite book?
Okay, so I'm reading currently The Invisible Muslim by Medina Whiteman.
Oh, that's a good one. I have to put that out.
And she's actually doing the
one.
creative
Continue
writing
what?
workshops at the retreats.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll ask the next one. What did you want to be when you grew up when you were 5?
I actually didn't have a profession. This is like probably the most boring question. I had no idea. I was very inspired by my geography teacher, and I think I'm the kind of person that if I feel inspired by somebody, I'm like, I want to be them. So I really liked my geography teacher. I thought she was
Same.
really, really cool. I really loved geography. I did really well at geography, and I think it was because she was inspiring. But geography teacher, don't think so.
Well, you're sort of.
Yeah, now
you're
I'm
localized.
organising retreats around the world, so maybe
So
I can let her know. She'll be like, yes,
kind of.
it's great,
Exactly.
Abdiya.
What is your most used emoji?
I think the one that has the sweaty emoji, the smile with the dripping sweat,
Sweaty emoji.
like
Or is that
Oh, I
crying?
always thought that was a tear.
no, it's definitely coming
I
off the
thought that was a
forehead.
tear.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been
Oh,
using it wrong.
No, there's the tear that's like underneath the eye, and there's the smiling one with the dripping sweat.
Oh my gosh, we have so much to learn on.
That's
my
like,
goodness.
oh my god, I'm like got 1,000 things to do today.
That's so funny. My kids are going to be like, "You're such a boomer, Mom. You missed that question."
Depends who I'm talking to.
Okay, so last question is: if you could eat one meal item for the rest of your life, what would it be? And
Baba
why?
ganoush. I love it. I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm.
I like both ways of making it. The one with tahina and the one without. All of it. Just love it. And actually, it's really weird because I
I'm a
didn't
tahina fan.
like aubergines when I as a growing up, and then I found baba ganoush. I was just like, wow, this has
Yeah.
changed my life. Changed my.
That's so funny. You
I
call
will
it
love this.
aubergines, and we call it
Aubergines
eggplant.
are eggplants. Yes.
Do you know
Us
what?
I watched a
Americans-
TikTok on this the other
A
day.
lot of
Call it
food
eggplant.
items in British English have come like from the French, including like because high society back
I
in
like
the day
aubergine. That
was
sounds so
French.
fancy.
Aubergine sounds so much better because it's the
And
right
we say
color. That is aubergine.
courgette.
Aubergine.
Yes, instead of zucchini.
Ooh. What is it called?
Courgette.
I'm going to start saying aubergine and courgette, and I'm going to be
Your
fancy.
kids, your kids are vegetarians. So
Yeah,
they'll
because my kids are
appreciate it.
vegetarians. I'm going to say, I'm going to make you, what is it? Aubergine for dinner tonight. And they're going to look at me like I have a third head. That's really
Please don't.
what they're
Is that
going
a
to
type
do.
of meat? Don't Mom.
Exactly. Aubergine and courgette. I love it. Thank you for teaching us so much today, Abdiya. I really, really appreciate it. So where can people find you?
Yes, so you can find me. My personal profile is Abdiya.Iman, and you can find us for the retreats, which we still have spaces available for this year. MF_retreats on Facebook, on Instagram, sorry, gosh. And then obviously if you'd like, we've got so many Instagram handles. I'm so sorry, it's so complicated. But we're also running the Ramadan Program, which you can find on @Modest Fitness Week, or just search Ramadan and Modest Fitness on Google, then you'll find us, modest.fitness. So yeah, lots of things that get excited about this year. If you struggle at all in Ramadan, or you want a community in Ramadan, or you just want some some workouts for Ramadan because you don't want to stop working out but you don't know how to make your workouts fit fasting friendly, then come over, join us, and be part of our Ramadan Program community. Inshallah.
We're gonna share all of this in our group as well. So please follow along, and we're excited to join along with you. I know Isma just started working out this year, so we're really excited about that. Yay! All that fun stuff.
Very slow going.
Best way to begin.
Very slow going. Yeah, right? Trying to achieve consistency. Thank you so much for inspiring us today and helping us achieve holistic wellness pre-Ramadan, during Ramadan, and inshallah post-Ramadan. And I look forward to staying in communicate with you regarding the retreat. So Jazakallah khair for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.